Alright YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Another street lighting video for these, and in the next clip you'll see what job I'm back at. This time around, this is another few weeks after the last time I posted a video about it, obviously again depending on the order, but this is now my third visit here, and the second visit was maybe 2 or 3 weeks prior to this one, so obviously give you a wee idea of time frames and stuff like that. So before I get into this video, before I get into the nitty gritty and start doing some electrical work, I'm going to dedicate this video to my #1 subscriber. I've spoke to his dad a couple of times, and he's telling me he's 5-year-old and his name's Mason, and his dad was saying that he absolutely loves these videos. So Mason, this one's for you, mate. Hope you enjoy it and all the best. Yep, I'm back here again. Today hopefully I'm going to be changing out this panel, but it's depending on a few different factors. I'm waiting on somebody coming out, obviously somebody authorised to come out and pull the fuses for us, because obviously as we all know that I'm not meant to be doing something like that, just in the event that something was to go wrong. So since my last 2 visits here, you can see it's been out and had new hinges put on it, and it's had a hasp and that put on it, and it's obviously got a padlock, but I'll keep that out of the shot just in case anybody sort of sees what key and stuff like that it is. So again, this is the state of it. I'm not going to really be able to do anything with this side of things, which is unfortunate. I would like to tidy all this up and stuff like that, but I've spoke to the powers that be, and it's basically just not possible. I've been told to, or I've been asked just to stick in a new panel and re-terminate all that stuff back in. Depending on time in the video, obviously I'll then sort of carry out a test on all of this just to make sure that it's all still fine and I know exactly where it goes, and cable routes and this and that, and obviously get like a ZE and get my ZS's at each end lines, all the circuits and stuff like that. That's probably the best bet to do all that, but if I can get that on camera I will, but it's unlikely that I'll be able to get the testing sort of side of it on camera just with all the stuff that I've got on today. Like I mentioned, it's been arranged for the necessary people to come out and pull the fuses, because I'm not doing it. Just in case. Just seen that there. I don't know why that's like that, but obviously when somebody's taken out that wee bung, they've obviously damaged that, but hopefully see that when they get here. But I'll just reinstall these 4 circuits plus the 40 cell, and then take it for that. So again, this is obviously very similar to any domestic board change, other than the fact that with the domestic side of things, you can obviously do some functional tests and prove what circuits what and all that stuff, but obviously I'm not in a position to do that here. But they're all the same size of breaker and stuff like that, so that side of things shouldn't be an issue. Regardless of that though, what I've done is obviously that's my photo cell cable, so it'll just be live, switch live, neutral, and there's an earth for it there, but I've just marked up 1, 2, although that's technically 4 and that's 5, but I've just put 3 and 4 just for the order of the circuits, and then I've duplicated that on the other sheathing of that each armour. It's more just for me putting it back to the way it was originally, and then obviously once I've got the power on and all that stuff, then I can actually do a proper identification of circuits and all of that. But aye, that's what makes sense to me anyway. So what I'm going to start doing is just obviously I'll prove dead again, but I know that it is, and then I'll just start undoing all this so that it's ready for when the tails get or for when the fuses get taken out. I'll remove the tails obviously, and then I'll mount my new panel. Should obviously save time for when such and such gets here and does their bit. Just jumping in my wee update for you. So as you can see, basically stripped out all my circuits. That's turned off at the hand switch anyway. The only earth that I've left connected for the meantime is my main earth. I'll just sort of leave that, and then can sort of disconnect all that stuff at the one time. But aye, so the plan is I've already stripped this one out, and because I'm not sure on length and stuff like that, I obviously want to try and keep them as neat as possible. I'm going to not try and cut any crimps off, so even if I can pull them through the stuffing glands individually, just to keep the length just now till I at least mount my new panel, and then from there I can see exactly what length I've got to play with, and then obviously just maybe cut some of these, or some of the longer ones I can maybe cut, but I want to keep as much length as possible for the meantime. And I think I've already mentioned, but there's no chance I'm going to be able to get this looking neat. Obviously won't be able to get these inside the panel, so there's always going to be tails on show, or there's always going to be the sort of the cores there on show, but there's no much I can do with that. I'll maybe even see if I can get it all mounted now, and then even get some heat shrink or something at least on them, or do something with that, just so it looks a little bit better, but we'll see what I can do. But the aim of this video and the aim of this part of today is just to get this new panel on, because this whole area has been dark for, let's say, at least about 2 months. So this is the latest update. As you can see, I've managed to get all them out of the glands there without having to cut anything. Obviously the lives didn't have that on it, and it was just a case of pulling one out and then it would just come out individually. Aye, this is far from ideal. I'm not quite happy with doing it this way, but needs must. So as you can see, fuses were out. Our fuses have been taken out by somebody authorised to do so, and all bullshit aside, that is genuinely the case. I've refused to pull the fuses on quite a few occasions now. So I'm safe just to obviously whip that panel off, because that's all disconnected. Before I do that, here's my new panel, and the only slight issue is that my tails and my tails gland are coming through the bottom here, so it's going to be a wee bit of a faff to put that back in, but we'll have a wee look inside the panel. So aesthetically, it's not too dissimilar to that panel. Obviously I've got my timer button on the front, my main hand switch here, and then it's a mixture of Schneider, Eaton, Top Coat, and then inside it Europa, and then Eaton breakers, and but straight away this looks as if it's going to be a lot better to work on. It's obviously nice and neat and stuff like that, so I'll get this mounted, and I quite like the fact that it's actual Type C MCBs as opposed to the barrel fuses. That's just so much more handier. Right, so as you can see, making quite good progress with this. So that's that panel completely out, that's over there, and now just to try and mount this panel in, and you'll see the old setup, the top 2 screws were in with these, and at first I thought it was just they didn't have any washers, but it turns out I think it's to space out this, because obviously whatever sort of thickness that ply is, most of the screws they must have had would have pushed all the way through, sort of thing. So I'll go and see if I've got better, more suitable screws to stick in that. Failing that, obviously I don't really want to have to do that, but it might need to be. But I've got a couple of wee washers there that I can use as well for the top ones, and then I'll find some for the bottom. I'd hoped this video was going to be, or this opportunity to do this was going to be on a quieter day, but on the day of filming this, this is obviously like a thoroughfare or a route through to wherever, and I've had at least about 30 people pass by me in the last hour or so, and they're all stopping for a chat and telling us that it's not going to be long before this is tanned again. So for actual filming the full job, I'm afraid it's not really feasible, but I'll just keep jumping in at each stage and sort of tell you what I'm doing and why. There you go, that's the new panel mounted. Some actual washers. And it's pretty solid. And it opens wide enough that the door's not going to sort of foul on that, and you're not going to damage it, and you can get easy access to the panel. I was obviously just a wee bit restricted with space because I couldn't come too far over this end because I didn't want to block my access to the cable head. And obviously didn't want to go too high up, one for getting my screws in, and two, I wanted to get as much of that cable into the box as well. So that's my thinking behind that. From speaking to the powers that be, I'm not going to be, or these aren't going to be getting dipped back in. These tails won't be getting dipped back in today. I've basically just to leave them here, and somebody will come out and do that. So obviously that cuts short the testing aspect to this video. So my remit here is basically just to remove old board, mount new board, install these circuits, and then just obviously leave that, and then re-secure the panel. So a little bit shorter than I'd hoped, but I'm sure as the summer comes in a wee bit, there'll be a wee bit of testing and stuff like that for you as well, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But I'll crack on with this and I'll keep jumping back in. So I've started dressing this in. Obviously you can see my photocell cable at the back there, and then my first circuit. I'm pretty much trying not to cut any length off these cables, just obviously given the fact that it's happened, or what's happened here has happened at least once. It's probably going to happen again at some point, so just what I think of the next guy. So obviously there's the first circuit in. I need to take a wee shaving off that actually. But it's definitely not going to be neat. Or I still know there's going to be some people in the comments sort of saying, why didn't I do this, why didn't I do that? But all this stuff down here, I'm sort of limited to what I can do here. So I'll just, because I think this one looks quite short here for my neutral, so I'll maybe even need to take it in over here just so that I can definitely get my neutral to reach her. So it's definitely not going to be neat, but I know most of you will realise and understand that. Right, you will hopefully see most of this is done, other than I just need to extend this neutral, and unfortunately that one had to be extended. I just used insulated through crimps, suitable for 10 or 16 mil. It's obviously not great, but like I said, I've obviously tried to keep all the length on the cables there that I could, and try and do it in some sort of order where you can see clearly that that's 1, 2, 3, and I've ended up putting that one in 5, which is grey, just to spread that across the phases. So there's 2 in the brown, excuse me, 1 in the black and 1 in the grey. So just to spread it over the phases, but obviously there's not going to be massive load on all of this because most of it's LED anyway. So like I said, I'm going to extend that there just because I've been to this job previously, and even just having the experience and doing a lot of this stuff. Brought out some cable with us, but all I could get my hands on was some split concentric. So I'll either use the actual neutron, the split concentric, and just use the multi-cores, or I'll even just use the brown, which is a solid one, and then obviously just sort of tape it again. I know it's no ideal, but I'd probably rather keep it solid, but I'll see how I feel. Other than that, like I said, tails are going to be dipped by somebody who's qualified to do so. I'm not going to be doing that. That's been agreed. And then all the stuff down here, nothing was really long enough to reach in here except the 40 cell cables, just a little bit too short, but I'll see if I can do anything to keep that in there. And then other than that, it's just going to be sealing it up and hoping it doesn't come in again. I'll obviously just leave the tail sitting down here for the next guy who's going to do that. But all in all, given the circumstances, I don't think that's actually too bad. You can let us know what you think, but obviously I know there's going to be some people in there that's going to probably slaughter this bit. There's no much I can do here. I obviously recommended that this all be done properly, or this all get dug up and jointed and brought through properly, but I got told a swift no for that one. Right, there you go. That's pretty much all I can do here. I've ended up just putting some tape around that. I know it looks crap, but it just sort of covers up the it just sort of covers up the single core cables, and it's better than nothing, but it's obviously crap and not how I would ideally want to leave it. But as I explained earlier on, I sort of asked if this could be dug out and cables jointed through properly, and in that way we could bring up the armour glands into the panel, or we could even just, like what they sometimes do is they'll change it from armour to concentric, and you could have and that's obviously these things here, but usually it's just like a wee sort of clip that goes round the steel wire armour, and we could have brought all that stuff up properly, but that wasn't really an option, I think, due to the fact that this probably will get tanned again at some point. So this was pretty much my whack. If possible in the future, I'll maybe come out and do a wee test on this, just 1 for my own benefit, and 2 just to obviously make sure it does actually get done, and then I'll leave my circuit chart and readings and all that sort of stuff in there. But not the neatest job in the world, not my best job in the world, certainly not overly proud of it, but there's no really much I could do with it. But aye, that's pretty much all I can sort of say and do with this one. I'm just going to go and clear up all my stuff. Been drinking this one a lot more recently as opposed to the white one, just for a change, and it's amazing. But it's just a nightmare trying to find it. Most places don't do it, but there's a wee shop on Maryhill Road that I go to sometimes that has it, and usually just buy a couple of cans of them there. But aye, I'll tidy all this crap up and I'll join you back in the van. Aye, so I should also probably mention that obviously put that back on in case anybody's wondering, and I'll secure this over because nobody seems to do it. Obviously clear up this mess and not just fling it back in the section box, which I know again a lot of people like to do. And I'll stick my padlock on the side. There you go, that's the padlock on the side there. And aye, another job done.